Hello, welcome to Nuggets for Life. My name is Peter Mueller and I have created this video series to share with you some ideas and concepts that can change your life. Let's get on with it. Hi, today we talk about nugget number 11, energy systems and exercise. Just a brief recap. In nugget number 7 we talked about energy and body weight, photosynthesis and respiration, the two macro processes of energy conversion in the world. Then we talk in nugget number 8 about basal metabolism, the energy requirements of our body simply to stay alive. In nugget number 9 we talked about energy balance, input versus output, whether we increase our body weight or decrease our body weight. And in nugget number 10 we talked about calories in exercise, so how much energy is required to perform certain exercises. Today we talk about the 3 energy systems in our body which are active during exercise and through our daily activities. Now, we use a lot of energy externally during our day to drive around in the car, to run our household, to watch TV, or doing our work in the office. And the external energy systems we have, we know them all. It is the fossil fuels, oil, gas, and nuclear energy, which are the on-demand, high-powered energy systems we can use 24/7. And then we have the intermittent energy production systems, hydro energy, wind and solar, which are medium capacity energy sources, but they work only intermittently. For example, overnight the solar systems don't produce energy. So, and actually in reality we are using these energy systems, our external sources, together to fill our requirement needs. In our body we have 3 exquisite systems which help us to fuel our energy requirements in our body through physical exercise. The first thing we have to remember, the universal currency of energy in our body is a molecule which is called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. That is the one and only thing. Now, our body has ATP stores in the muscle, but they are very little, and we can use them through one jump, through one push-up, lifting a weight for a second. But this system has storage only for 1 to 2 seconds of ATP. Then we have, for our fast, high energy requirements, the ATC-PC system, the phosphocreatine system, which actually starts working and it reaches its peak between 8 and 10 seconds. And after that, our body needs other energy systems to kick in. The next slower system after the ATP-PC system is the anaerobic system, which uses glucose or glycogen, which is a complex form of glucose, as the basic material. The system is also called the lactic acid system, and this system starts right off the bat and it increases its production and it reaches its peak between 45, 50 to 60 seconds. And then we have the third system, which is the aerobic system, which starts very slow, but the aerobic system is the one which requires oxygen, which we breathe in and which we breathe into our lungs, then goes to the blood and being distributed through our body. And oxygen is being needed for the aerobic system at the end of the day to produce ATP. And on the left-hand side, this chart shows you very clearly, we have the energy contribution of the system, which goes from 0 to 100%, and on the x-axis is the time axis, which tells you the time interval over time. Very simply, from 0 to 10 seconds, our body runs exclusively basically on the ATP-PC system. So when you run 100 meters, basically you are running on this system. When you run 400 meters, you are running on both of the systems. After 10 seconds, the anaerobic system starts to kick in. This is the same system you are using when you make squats, when you make 20 squats or you make 20 or 40 or 50 push-ups. Within the first minute, you are using those two systems. And until then, the aerobic system just is starting to gear up, but after 1 minute or 180 seconds or so, it finally takes over. Another way of looking at these three systems, here we go. On the left hand side, 100% of the energy system you see at the very beginning, within the first 20 seconds, we are running exclusively on the phosphocreatine system. Then we see this yellow circle. At about 30 seconds, the glycolysis or the anaerobic system already takes over the majority of the energy production of ATP. Then we have another pivotal point at about 90 seconds when the glycolysis system reached already its peak, and then the aerobic system takes over. And after about 3 minutes of continuous exercise, the aerobic system takes over, and our energy requirements from then onwards until the next 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever we do, 75 to 80% comes from the aerobic system, the system which needs oxygen to produce ATP, and 20 to 25% from the anaerobic system or the glycolysis or lactic acid system. So now, in summary, the three systems. ATP-PC system, it produces very fast the energy. It is for short-term exercises, 100 meter, some pull-ups you make, some weightlifting you do. The main source is creatine phosphate. The ATP quantity being produced is very limited. And the production cycle, 8 to 10 seconds. The intensity is high, and the recovery period after you have emptied basically the system is 30 seconds to 4 minutes. This is a thing to remember when you do weightlifting, the timing between the sets, for example. Then you have the glycolysis or the anaerobic system. It is a fast production system which peaks its capacity at about 40 seconds. It uses glycogen, a complex form of glucose or of sugar, basically, carbohydrates. It has a limited quantity of ATP. That's why you cannot run on the anaerobic system on its own. And the metabolic end product of it is lactic acid. And the cycle time is about 1 to 2 minutes. That's where you exhaust the system. So, for example, when you do weightlifting, one set cannot last longer than a minute unless you use very low weights, that there is a little work on the muscle. You do it through frequent repetition and you go more into the aerobic way of the energy cycle. It is for moderate intensity, and the recovery time is about 20 minutes to 2 hours. The third system is the oxidative system or the aerobic system. It has slow production, but the energy sources are glycogen, sugar, carbohydrates, and fat. This is the only system which can use fat. So if we want to burn fat, we cannot do it with weightlifting and 100-meter runs. Actually, we have to engage into longer term physical exercise, because the oxidative system starts after 3 minutes, and actually the fat burning actually starts after 10, 15, 20 minutes. That's when the fat burning actually starts in the aerobic process. The ATP quantity is almost unlimited. The metabolic end products are carbon dioxide and water, end results of the respiration process. We talked about it in nugget number 7. The cycle time is up to 2 hours, and even a little longer. You can do a marathon run, as you can see. And the triathletes, they can actually extend it. They have trained their body and fueling their body in between with additional energy. They can go up to 8-9 hours, but these are exceptions. They have trained for this. The intensity is low, and the recovery time, it's really depending on your conditioning, on your training status. To test the limits of the systems, you simply look at world records and you see how it works. Look at the world records of 100 meters, 200 meters. It's basically 38 kilometers per hour. It's basically the ATC-PC system which is running. At 400 meters, we are already, the world record is at 43 seconds. So we cannot run it only on the ATC-PC system. So the slower system of the anaerobic has to kick in. And we go to the next level at the 30 to 33 kilometers per hour. And when we go fully basically into the 2-minute zone, where the anaerobic system has to produce significant quantities, we are at 800 meters and 1000 meters. This is about 28 kilometers per hour. Then when we go to 5000 meters, we are then in the 10-minute zone, and we see we have another drop to a level 23 kilometers per hour, and there it stays basically. You see the marathon world record is about at 2 hours, which is 21 kilometers per hour. So whether it's 5000 meters or a marathon, the difference kilometers per hour is not very much. Once the train is going at a certain speed and the body is trained for it, it can go a long time. So for your own personal exercise programs, here are the things to consider. Know which type of exercise you are going to perform, and then knowing which energy systems are contributing. Understand each exercise, because the short-term exercise, you can have short bursts of maximum intensity. And if you go longer term, intensity has to be lower, but it can go over a longer period of time. So, for example, if you plan something more than 3 minutes, if you want to burn fat, an aerobic exercise, cycling, running, start very slow and get to the 3 minutes until you know the equilibrium. That's the point where the aerobic system and anaerobic system 75-25 have reached an equilibrium, that steady state, and from then you can go on to cruising levels. If you start too early, too fast, and involve too much of the anaerobic system, you run out of breath, you have to stop and restart again. So don't do this. Start very slowly until you are at cruising level in about 3 minutes or so. When you do strength exercises, very simply, design your set, whether it's 8, 10, 12, 15 repetitions, that the set is between 10 and 30 seconds. Because after 30 seconds, your ATP is toast. It's worn out. So you should have exhausted your muscle in 30 seconds. Then use a relatively short recovery time. You have seen the ATP system can recover relatively quickly, and then go to the second set. This is a way you can exhaust your muscle within 3-4 sets to the max in a very short period of time, which is the goal of a weightlifting exercise. Exhausting your muscle through multiple sets in as short period of time as possible. On that note, thank you very much for listening, and see me at nugget number 11.